All right, we're back at Power Tools and Profit with Ian, and today we're going to do an audit on his business. And we were actually talking about a few things before we went live here. And Ian, I will tell you, like, you are not alone.
Yeah.
From where you are in this position of, because we actually just talked to someone yesterday in the same position you are, where it's like, I'm at this point at my business. I've done a lot on my own to know what structure, what processes, what things do I need in place so that I could take my business to the next level. And I think that where we start that question is kind of like where we start, even just yesterday. It's like, well, what is the end goal? What is the thing you're trying to do? And maybe it's a dollar amount. I want to be at 5 million. I want to be at 20 million. I want to be at 100 million, and then we work backwards of course, like, what does that look like for our business, right? So at the core of what we do, I was telling you earlier, we're a marketing agency, right? Like, we want to help people, get leads, get sales. And we do that same thing. Like, what does that look like? All right, well, I want an additional, 10 jobs a month. All right. So if it's 10 jobs, how many people do you have to talk to? Well, if my close rate is 50%, I need to talk to at least 20 of them. All right. So if you need to talk to 20, how many people need to see an ad, or how many people do you have to network with to even get 20? It's like, oh, well, maybe I got to talk to 100. I talk to 100 people, or 100 people at least have to know about me for me to get 20 appointments. So we kind of work backwards in that way. So I think the first question is like, and maybe you have an answer that yourself, maybe you do have an answer, but where do you want to go? What if Zach said he had a magic wand and said, if I had a magic wand, you get anything you want. It doesn't matter. What would you want? Have you thought about that?
And let me jump in before you answer that, Ian. What we were talking about last time, I wasn't hearing dollar signs. Like, that was part of what we do, because it's nice to have food with our meals. But what I was hearing last time was impact. Like, you want to have a crew, a culture of people that you're impacting, that you're helping them achieve their goals. But to, like, Michael's point is, like, it's hard to measure impact. It's hard to measure, am I helping them build their legacy? And it's a lot easier to measure dollar signs and, like, how many crews, how many people, that kind of a thing. And so, what's the thing right now, would you say, before we jump into that, like, that's firing you up? Why do you want to grow this business?
I think I don't view myself as and I'm just going to speak freely, but I don't view myself as like a very talented or very smart individual, to be honest. A lot of times, a lot of people may argue that differently, and I have been blessed by many gifts, but I think I don't always feel like I'm putting in 100%. And I'm able to accomplish what I've already accomplished with already out feeling like I'm putting in 100%. So what happens if I do put in 100%? And what happens if I show the average person who's maybe putting in 20 or 30%, they just don't realize it because they've never had that exposure. And then all of a sudden they bump up to maybe 50 or 60% and they realize how much their life can improve. I had almost a 6-figure position that I walked away from to start this, but I remember working for $14 an hour. I remember working for, $20 an hour and going through the ranks and everything like that. And then once I got to a certain amount, I kind of was doing everything that I thought I was going to do. I just never thought I'd get there that fast. I pushed the bar and pushed the gas pedal constantly, which I think led me to where I'm at. But that's where, and that you might be hitting the nail on the head there. That's where I'm having such a hard time for me personally, because I do kind of care more about the impact than I do the dollar amount, because I already know where I'm at. I've already have almost everything that I ever wanted in my life. And I just turned 37, last week. So
Happy
to try
birthday.
to Thanks, man.
Yeah,
To
happy
try
birthday.
to say I want to make $100,000 a year isn't really what I'm after. I'm more like, what do I want to do to sustain my living that I'm comfortable with? Do I want to go play golf 6 times a year? Do I want to go to Mexico a couple of times a year? What do I need to sustain that lifestyle? And then think about it in that way versus, I want to be a multimillionaire. I would like to drive around. I mean, if I'm just fairy tale talking, I would like to drive around, have enough people drive around that this logo, people know what it is. And they say, you want it done right, you go look at this guy, and how many people does that take to do that? It is what it is, so that might be one of my biggest hangups, to be honest, but that's kind of the real truth.
It's important to identify that, because if, there's the book, Alice in Wonderland, when Alice falls down the hole, she meets that creepy freaking cat, the Cheshire cat with the creepy mouth, that smiles. And she asks the cat, which way should I go? And the cat responds, well, where do you want to go? What's your destination? She says, I don't know. And then the cat responds, well, then it doesn't matter which way you
Yeah.
go. Right. And so we
Mhm.
have to have that North Star. And
Yep.
I'm hearing right now, I've coached hundreds and hundreds of businesses. Money is important, but it's not the number one thing for you, which is a great place to be. I am hearing the impact thing. And I don't know if you know this, Ian, but the average American sits on their butt 30 hours or more a week and watches TV.
Mhm.
30 hours a week. Oh, I'm getting informed. I'm watching the news. No, you're not. Like, you
No,
can't
you're
have
not.
any impact on what's going on in the world. What are we doing with our life? We got one life. YOLO. You only live once.
Mhm.
What are we doing with our life? Are we having an impact, or are we watching freaking TV for
Yep.
30 hours a week? Like, what can we do? And I think this is, where I get a little religious, or very religious, is like, what's God's purpose for me? If I'm called to entrepreneurship, I think as entrepreneurs, we can have a huge impact in the society. It's not the politicians, it's not the
Mhm.
focus groups, it's not the community organizers. The entrepreneur.
Yep.
Not only do we make money and we can then turn around and give to certain causes and things like that, but we bring people in, we employ people, we can
Yeah.
inspire people. We can say, turn that freaking TV off. Maybe watch
Yeah.
15 hours instead of 30 hours and read a
Right.
book. Read a book.
Right.
And so
Right.
let's talk about your business here. Let's jump into it. And, maybe we're going to do some fuzzy math. I'm fine with fuzzy math. It's one of my favorite maths. Patriot Deck Co. Last 12 months, give me an idea of the volume. What did you guys do in the last 12 months?
So we topped out at 325 this year. Once again, that was by myself this year, for a few months anyways. So last year we did 460, and that's been really where we're at right now. I have some things cooking in the background to where,
Yeah.
I have I know I don't want to announce it too much, but I kind of have like a certain type of display thing that's going on that I've not seen anyone in the country do. I
Okay.
am friends with a lot of people on Instagram and Facebook, a lot of deck builders and stuff. So I'm getting ready to bring that out. I am 4 for 4 with that. I've had to revamp it because like I said, I'm working with different vendors and suppliers now. But the overall goal of that is to, just bring the display to the customer of what they could be getting. And I have some technical things that go along with that. But yeah,
Okay. Well, I
325 is
might
where I've
might
been.
pull a little bit more, like, well, what can you tell us? Like, I'm intrigued. And if you're saying, Zach, my cards are close to my chest, you can say that. Feel free to
No,
say that.
no, I've always viewed myself as trying to be pretty open to help maybe inspire the next individual. And at the end of the day, we all know I can say whatever I want and it sounds cool, but how many people are going to actually go do it?
Sure.
That's
Sure.
reality. So
True.
it is a display trailer. It's a 16-foot display trailer. I have it all lined out with the decking boards, and I have multiple different rail sections on that. This was
That's
actually my
cool.
wife's idea. And the purpose of this is when I pull it to your house, one, who has a floating deck flying around with them, that's a deck builder. It's also going to be wired up independently. They have the lights on it and everything.
Oh, that's cool.
So you can see it. Yeah, it's going to be pretty sweet. But you can get on top of this and like you can touch and feel the certain rails I work with. I work with Key Link railing systems a lot. Once again, I'm not partial to any one brand, and I've been very clear with this with the manufacturers, but I want to work with the best, and I want to have
There
the
it
best
is.
product for the best people. And when you're able to walk up on something, I had a lady take her shoes off one time just so she could feel the decking boards on her feet.
That's
You
awesome.
know, and then the other thing about it is, if I have this sitting outside for a couple of years, it automatically shows, what it's going to look like in a year. And then we can uphold the warranty standards and show that this product is worth it. This is going to help you on maintenance, retention, and everything else. So it's an upfront. I bought the trailer,
Love it.
and just we kind of winged it and went for it, and it's done pretty good.
That's screaming parades, Ian.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I
Oh,
was
man,
telling you,
Oh, yeah.
in and out stuff. Like, oh man, I love it. I love
yeah,
what a great idea.
You're
Ian,
gonna get a deck. You're gonna get a
Yeah.
deck. You're gonna get a deck.
Ian, it
well,
sounds like
Ian,
you might be like me, like you married up. Like you got a smart
did.
lady for that wife there. I love it.
Yeah, I did.
Ian, you mentioned yesterday, or when we talked a few days ago, that you read the book by Seth Godin, Linchpin, right? He also has a book called The Purple Cow. Have you read that book yet? So
I
that
almost thought about wearing a cowboy hat because nobody in my area wears a cowboy hat. So yes,
Yeah.
I've read the book, and that will confirm it for you if you read the book.
Yeah. So that's funny because like I think of those principles and how
Yep.
you have to stand out and like almost try to change the industry and look what you're doing separately. And like you said, it takes for someone else to do it. It's going to be a lot of work. There's a lot of
Yeah.
investment. I think when that book when I read it, it was 10 years ago, if not more. But I had that moment when I walked into a movie theater and the movie theater had reclining seats. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is the
Yeah, I remember
best.
that.
I'm not going to no theater, right? That was totally like that experience. I told my friends, that's all of that started happening. And
Yeah.
as I heard what you're doing now, it's like, oh my gosh, that's a purple cow. That's
Yeah.
different. Like you said, people will take pictures, send it to their friends, and it will start that buzz. So you're
Yeah.
doing great. That's awesome. I
Well, and
love
even
it.
when we go out to the job site, or I always say we because that's where I'm going to go one day. But right when I'm going to go out to the job site and stuff, a lot of times what I've realized is, I've been invited back over to customers' houses to hang out on the decks, and just have a beer
That's
and
awesome.
chill with them and stuff. So it's. I feel like everywhere I go, I end up making a friend in a way. Um, you know, my last clients, she was a CEO. She's over in a nicer area that I was at, and she told me that the price tag was a little off for her, so I need to work on my salesmanship and stuff. But I end up going with her for other avenues, and now she's willing to do things for me because of the overall experience, right? So, if a UPS driver showing up today, and you got a package that you really need to be put in the garage and stuff, let me know, and we'll do that kind of stuff for So all my clients, like she gave me a code to her house and allowed me to use the restroom so we could, keep going faster. So it's a trust thing. That's the biggest deal. You have somebody that's going to be coming on your property, and you have somebody that is, it needs to be more respectful is what I'm more going after. I don't want trash everywhere. I want, when we're unstacking stuff from the front, it's not scattered out. Those are things that are really a big deal to me. I'm not a messy person necessarily, and when I'm in front of a customer, to keep it as professional as can be, those are big deal things for me.
I love it. Let's talk about what the future holds for the Patriot Deck company here. A lot of growth. I've seen a lot of growth with companies here. And Michael, was talking about my magic wand here. Like where you want to go in a year, people typically will overestimate, but they'll
Yeah.
woefully underestimate where they can go in 3 years or even 5 years. You can build
Yeah.
an empire. And I've
Yeah.
seen it. I can give you example after example of people being, hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars even in debt. Then 3 years later, multimillionaires and story after story after story. So waving the magic wand, where does Patriot Deck Co. go in 3 years? How big do you build this thing?
Well, there is a lot of competition in me, and there's another debt company that's close nearby, and they're a $15 million company, and it'd be pretty cool to beat them.
Did we just name 16 million? Is that what we're saying? Or what are we doing here?
It would be pretty cool to be, looked at as one of the greats, as one of the best, so I'm looking at those individuals, and that's who I'm going after. The $2 to $3 million companies, obviously it's a milestone to get to and stuff, but if I had my way, yeah, I want to take over. I know how to do plumbing, electrical, all that stuff. When I first started, I wanted my own divisions to be able to help everyone in every single little aspect of what, because I know how to do it all. That was my original goal. And then, since we niched down, yeah, I mean, if I had a dream thing, yeah, I'm affecting more lives. I'm changing more lives. People know the brand. They know what it stands for, even at a personal level, not just for a business. And then, yeah, we're the best in the area, you know?
I love it. I'm all on board. I like the big thinking, and one of the things that you just named is a great principle: finding a worthy adversary. And like you're not enemies. Well, maybe you are, but maybe probably not. Like find the guy out there that is killing it, that takes care of his clients. In a great way, and then like we're gonna chase you. Not only
Yeah.
are we gonna chase you, but we're gonna pass you. Right, the worthy adversary. So I wrote down $16 million is our goal in 3 years. Give me an idea, Ian, and I know it varies, depends on a lot of the jobs, but what's the average cost-ish in a deck? Or
My
the average
projects,
go sorry,
yeah,
go ahead.
my projects, I've been pretty fortunate. Most of mine are, um, 25, 30,000. Those are my typicals. I've had
Would you say
some
it's
up above
25 or
that.
would you say it's 30? Just to get a little I know we're guessing.
Say 25 for now.
Okay. I'm gonna put $25,000 as the average deck here. Now we're gonna take our 16 million. And that other company, they're not staying static. I bet they're growing too. So we might have to adjust our goal, but like 16 million is a worthy goal here. I'm gonna divide that by 25,000. Michael, do some fuzzy math in your head. What do you think? How many decks do you think that is? I got
A
the answer
lot.
right here. A lot.
Yeah, 20 million. Are we going by month or by year?
Yep.
640.
Okay.
640
Yeah.
decks in a year. Now, the good news, Ian, is where you live. Well, Kansas City isn't a small town, and
No,
the surrounding area. So you got a good population for that. That's great. I'm going to divide that by 12 just so we can have them a little bit more manageable. That's 53 decks a month.
that's a lot. That's almost overwhelming to think about at this moment in time, to be
It
honest with
is.
you.
It totally is. Well, let's break it down even further. I'm going to divide it by 4. So like these are bite-sized pieces now. That's 13
Yep.
decks a week. So two decks a day is basically what we're doing here. 2 decks a day. So like that's a little bit more manageable. That's still a ton. How long does it take you? And I know again it's variable, but on a $25,000 deck, how long does that take you to build that?
For me, and this is me working by myself, complete tear down and rebuild. For me, it takes me, I would say, 7 to 10 days for
Okay.
just me alone. Now, I can cruise. I know what I'm doing. Like, I feel a little, I don't like boasting about it, but I move. I
Yeah.
move. Most people
Yeah.
don't keep up with me.
I
I
love it.
bet I averaged the steps last year. I did over, because I count everything. I did over, it was like 4,600,000 steps or some crazy amount,
That's awesome. That's
moving
awesome.
everything.
So right now,
That's why he's so lean, Zach. So now you know what you got to do.
what are you saying, Michael? What are you saying? And I'm soft, a little squishy. I love
4
it.
gazillion steps.
All right, so we're getting clarity on this, and clarity is absolutely power. If we're going to go to 16 million, or I should say, when we're going to go to 16 million, we need clarity on this. We're looking at 640 decks for the year, 53 a month, 13 for the week. Right now, Ian, where are you getting currently? Because nothing else matters until we have enough leads. Where are you getting your leads for decks?
90% of them is actually probably 99% of them is literally just off Facebook. Every now
Okay,
and then, the company that I work or not work for, but I get my supplies from, my lumber. I have a good rapport with them, and they've passed out my business card. But most of it is word of mouth, just off Facebook. So
okay.
I've been lucky enough to be able to sustain my way of living, which is great, by not really doing anything, for the most
Well, you're
part.
doing something because we talked
Well,
about the
yes,
meta glasses and this other, like you're putting stuff
yeah,
out there because people aren't just randomly calling you from Facebook.
true,
You're putting stuff out, which is great. This is what we call traffic we earn, right? So you're
yeah.
posting on Instagram, Facebook, hopefully YouTube, and if not, you should be TikTok, these different places. How many leads do you think it takes? Like, hey, I'm kind of interested in getting a deck. How many leads does that take before you install a deck, or at least I should say, go on a appointment or do an
So
estimate?
I'm about a 50% retention on that, to be honest with you. And I've discovered where my price range is right now, with the overhead and stuff. I'm quite comfortable with where I'm at. I do know that I've had enough data to collect that I'm not the most expensive, obviously, but I'm not cheap either. For the
Sure.
quality that you get for what I'm doing, I obviously, feel like you're getting a great deal. So
So you're saying you get 10, like, hey, I'm kind of interested in building a deck. 5 of those we're doing an estimate on. Out of those 5 that we're doing an estimate on, how many do you go on to build?
I I'm probably building all 5. If I get in the
Okay.
door, I normally close, to be honest with you. It doesn't happen too often that I don't close. I don't know if
I'm
that's
gonna
a
I'm gonna I'm gonna change the numbers a little bit because if we're going to when we're going to this 16 million, it's not gonna be just you doing estimates. Like you're gonna be
no.
doing a lot of the estimates, sure, but then you're gonna get a crew in. And one of the things, if we're gonna grow, again, I keep using that word, when we're gonna grow, we have to be okay with somebody doing something 80% as good as we can.
Yep.
So if you close 5 out of 5, which I have no doubt, I don't doubt that at all. Someone you bring in, no one ever cares as much as the business owner, ever.
Oh, yeah.
Never ever cares as much as the business owner. So we're going to say 80%. So now we can start reverse engineering the math, which is really good. So if I look at, we're going to say 13 decks built a week, and we're going to take that and we're going to look at 80%. That means we need to go on, we're going to say roughly 17 estimates a week. And then if I take that one and I divide that by, I should just double that. That's 34 leads a week is what we're looking at. So when we solve 34 leads a week as the issue, we now have the ability, and we need the crews, and we need HR, and we need trucks, and we need all this stuff, right? I get it. But this is the first problem that we have to solve. When we solve the 34 leads a week, we're on track for 16 million, which is really cool. Now,
Mhm.
we just broke it down here. So you're saying right now, Facebook has been a good source for you. Talk to me about the most valuable thing that you own in your company, your database. What are you doing for a database? How are you communicating with a database? And if the answer is like, I'm not right now, that's fine. What are we doing for the database?
So for me, I have everything on a spreadsheet. What I've been doing is I've been slowly working with the supplier company. I have it all mapped out exactly what it is. I taught myself. I don't know if you guys are familiar with SketchUp, the drawing
Mhm.
software. Okay, so I taught myself SketchUp and taught myself QuickBooks in the same year. Don't do that if anyone hears this. But so I have all my stuff outlined. So what I would do essentially is I would go out to the customer's house and I'm just using my notes. Then literally I have my iPad and I just use the notes. I'm taking all the notes, all the questions that I want right there. I can snap photos with it and then I can draw the dimensions on there. So not only does that help me be very accurate with my dimensions and stuff like this, I can see what I'm looking at. So maybe I
Yeah.
missed something where I wasn't there. And then I just come back and if I need to draw up the deck for someone, I do have that as a price. If you're doing something unique, then most people are visual people. And with me, my art background, and then with the SketchUp, I've taught myself that I can supply this to you for X. And then I will literally map it all out. I already have my overhead calculated in there, taxes, all these other things that are going into this. And I have it as a long list formula that will spit me out a number for my typical deck size and what I do. I
I
read.
love all that. I didn't ask the question the right way. My question is, so like you build a deck, you can do all that. That's awesome. How do you stay in touch with that person? Because you know what? People are
Oh,
going to be
okay.
coming over and they're going to be sitting like, man, this is a nice deck. I want
Yeah.
this deck. And then we need to, we teach people how to treat us. Right. And so like, how do we, and ultimately we do this through marketing to the database. How are you staying in touch with that person so that when they're sitting down with their friends, like, dang, this is a sweet ass deck. I want this deck. How do we get
Right.
them to give us a referral? Or are we not necessarily marketing our past clients?
I haven't really been marketing to past clients. I haven't.
So I'm like, this is like a free 90 free. This is the most valuable piece of advice I can give you. The most valuable thing that you do have in your business is that database. It's the clients that you've already made happy, that are
Yeah.
thrilled with the quality that you've done. We need to turn those people into raving clients. And
Yeah.
so what I would suggest that we do, and I'm going to write this down in the leads column right under Facebook. I'm going to put SOI, which stands for sphere of influence. This people, when you build a deck, you ever seen those sped up videos? Like where, like the
The
deck's
time
built in
lapse.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
time lapse. Thank you. Thank you for using the real term. Real professional here. The time lapse, like that would be a great idea too. Like throwing up a time lapse of like the deck flying together in 30 seconds
Yeah.
and then like slowing down and showing all the details.
Mm.
People love this
Yep.
stuff. If you look on like even like AI right now, all those fake videos of the AI building whatever, like, people still love that too, but like this is real. This is a real deck. So the sphere of
Yeah.
influence is very important. That's the traffic that we own. And ultimately, Facebook at some point could say, I don't like Patriot Deck Co. Shut you
Hmm.
down. YouTube could
Yeah.
shut you down. Like we don't own this traffic. And so that's why our database is so important. We need to get these people that are following us on Facebook into your world
Hmm.
where you own that contact. And, I've seen this happen to friends. Like Michael was talking earlier before we started the call, in some of these marketing groups that we're a part of where they had millions of followers on Instagram. And then someone hacked their account or Instagram didn't like them because they said something or whatever it is. Boom, shut down. Their business came to a screeching halt at night. So we have to build that database. Michael, let's shift over into traffic that we earn a little bit. You want to talk about that? And then I can start to share my screen. We'll go into the GBP.
So traffic that we earn, or traffic that let's just say traffic that we pay for, right? So the traffic that we pay for is, we know, so think about it as a pond, right? So if my father loves Harley Davidsons, right? And it's like Harley Davidson people, they all do similar stuff. They all hang out in similar areas,
Hmm.
right? They all go to, we have Quaker Steak and Lube, and every Thursday night it's bike night.
Yep.
And then, they have the Sturgis, and they have all these things. So there's this pond out there where your people are at. And all we have to do is take something that's going to entice them to come from that pond over to you, right? So what does that look like in the deck? I don't know right now, but oftentimes it's, some people use maybe free estimate or free design or free whatever. So something that is a low friction for them to come, so that you can turn traffic that you pay for, traffic that you earn, into traffic that you own, right? So it's some type of opt-in, some type of give me your information in exchange for
Right.
something else, right?
Yeah.
So that's important, and that helps because there has been, from a paid ads agency, right? There's so many people who've called me one time or many times, and they say, "Hey, look, I've been doing only Facebook, and all of a sudden, my Facebook says they don't like me," and it's like they literally have no other source of traffic other than one source, and I think that's the dangerous part of
Yeah.
even where you are, right? Where it's like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm getting all my traffic from Facebook. It's very easy for accounts to get hacked. It's very easy for things to
Yeah.
happen. Or they just don't like you, right? Facebook says, hey, we're changing the algorithm now, and this is what it is. And now your stuff isn't being seen and things like that. So it's a little bit of a gamble when you only have one source of traffic. But ultimately, if you have a database of traffic that you own, no one can take that from you. You can always
Yeah.
email, you can always text, you can always call. So I think that's something to think about as you're looking to grow, because you're going to have multiple sources of traffic if you want to hit the numbers that you want to hit.
No, you're not wrong in there, and you make some valid points in that. And I do have, like I said, it's just all recorded, the people that I've worked with, but there's no new stuff coming in. So that's definitely another hurdle that has to be crossed. The biggest thing for me that I would see right now would be like, local parades and stuff like that, with the home shows that we have. And we've talked about doing those. We have something out here like downtown days for some of the local areas and stuff. And we've been looking at those. And I've already talked with some of the people that would help us out, even with securing those spots. And I know other people who now my relationships have grown. If they're doing this, they've had good feedback and everything else like this. So it's definitely something we're looking into for sure.
I love it.
Yeah, one thing I also keep in mind with those, I think those are great, right? I think
I know that's not 100% what you're referring to, but those are some
no,
of the things we looked into to start going that route.
no, you're absolutely right. So, like to, I think when you were talking earlier, like I heard humble coming out from what you're saying. Like, hey, I'm very humble. I feel the same way. And I remember I was at a tech conference, and it was like this guy just came up to me. He was like, it was cybersecurity, and he came up to me. I'm gonna say he said something slick to me, and I looked at him. I said, look, I'm very humble. I said, but I'm the truth. So I told him. I looked him dead in his eyes. I was like, I'm the truth. I'm like SEAL Team 6. I say, I know exactly where your clients are. I know exactly how to get them. And rather you throwing out this huge blanket, I'm the sniper picking them off. And I think that's the difference between some of the tactics you talk about, because you don't know if those people are interested in a deck or not. Like, maybe there's a handful of them, maybe there's a lot of them. But typically it's like, if I want to be the sniper and I want to get like the highest quality of traffic, yeah, we got to pay for it a little bit, but it's people who are searching up the keywords.
Yeah.
I want a deck now, right? Or deck builders near me. And like that content, even though, you might pay $20 a lead, $50 a lead, that is a high intent lead with someone who is leaning into the purchase. So it's definitely something to think about is, am I doing more of the shotgun approach, or am I going after how do I go after like the sniper people where they want, for sure that they want a deck.
Yeah, and I'm not a big gambler at all. So unless I know I'm going to win. So that's where we're kind of looking at right now, is just looking at the different avenues to really kind of pull back. I feel like right now, if you use slingshot method, I'm in that stretching back part to get ready to go forward. Um, there's other avenues. I've gotten a couple leads already from the Timber Tech website. We're on there, vendors and stuff are helping out a little bit. But as far as actually putting the throttle down with the leads and stuff, like I said, that is because I want to be able to fulfill the clients. I don't want to be running around with the chicken with my head cut off any more than I already am, and then not being able to fulfill those clients.
No, that's a great point, because is there such thing as growing too fast? I think there is, because even sometimes I deal with it from a marketing agency. Like all of a sudden we have an influx of 20 new clients, and it's like, whoa, do I have the systems? Because it takes a lot to set these people up. Do I have the systems in place to handle it? Well, as I took a step back and say, okay, well, for every 10 clients, I know I need another designer. I know I need another web developer, and then I need another media buyer. So I think you can figure that out for yourself. You're saying, all right, if I have to do, I think you said 53. Who are those people that I have to put in place so that when I'm ready to take on more leads, I know exactly what levers I need to pull to make sure that everything is running smoothly for sure.
Well, even calculating it down to like right now, I have it, which I don't know if it's really worth it, but I'm like, I know how long it takes me to dig X amount of holes. I know how long it takes to tape off the joists. My average when I go out to a customer's house, it's 45 to an hour and a half. It's not because I necessarily have a big presentation. We're just narrowing down what do they really want. So I'm starting to really collect those numbers. And I guess I feel like my next route for me is if I have this data, I can really tailor it in for me. And then my thought process is I can start plugging people in. I can start weeding out what do I don't want to say dislike, but what is not fulfillment for me. I did a time audit by there's a book, Buy Back Your Time.
Yep. Great book.
Yeah, so I've done that, and that was very interesting to me. So that's kind of my route that I've kind of been playing with, whether it's right or wrong, but that's kind of where I've been at.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think the other, I heard again, we were talking about the gurus, right? Everything, like I hear his voice in my head sometimes. And what he says is, without reoccurring revenue, you don't have a real business. You're just in the process of another sale,
Oh
right? You're
yeah, I own
always
a
in
job
sale.
for
Yeah.
sure.
And as I think
And
of,
Arnold Schwarzenegger talked about, if people don't know you're out there, how they know to find you.
yeah.
And that's as simple as it is right then and there.
Well, I'm
So
thinking about what your current clients or the clientele that you've already worked with, touch base a little bit about it. Maybe last call was like reoccurring revenue. How do you get them on like some type of service plan where they can pay you monthly and you just, that little bit of money, whatever it is, adds up, of course. And it's the times
yeah,
where it's slow right now, but it's like how to winterize your deck or like how to, or to do those things, or maybe some older clients that you've had or know of, maybe they need refinishing of the deck or whatever that looks like and
yeah,
being able to service that. So I think the low hanging fruit might be there. And then also thinking about what can I put them on, how do I put these people on a reoccurring revenue where you can be available if like something goes out and you can come fix it really quick. But it's like having that ability. So, but what Zach has, Google My Business, that is free, right? He says he's going to say free 90 free.
It's traffic that we earn, right? Like, so we're talking about Ian, and like if I'm growing my business, I always ask myself, do I have more time than money, or do I have more money than time? And if
yeah.
right now, it's cold, there's snow, like maybe I got more time right now. And so one of the things I wanted to take a look at was our Google Business Profile, kind of do an audit on that for you. So is that showing up big and bright for you guys?
Yep, now it is.
Awesome. And it's still doing that right now or not?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, we see it.
I'm still getting used to Riverside. And thank you for your patience here with this.
Yeah.
And so the first thing, good job. We have a Google Business Profile. It is verified, so I can find it on there. We're getting some reviews, which is really good. There is a unknown secret about the Google Business Profile, and if we don't have a physical address on it, it's not showing it. You're not getting a lot of traffic to it. And so having go ahead.
Let me ask you guys a question because I work out of my home. I have no desire to put my home address on there.
I hear what you're saying. Is it ideal? No. Will it work? Absolutely. And if I'm looking for a deck, I'm not showing up to your house.
Fair enough.
So, right, it's a comfort. It's like, are you comfortable with it? Is the wife comfortable with it? We literally helped a roofer just yesterday do the same thing where, he lives in the woods. He's got a long driveway, but he doesn't have an actual shop. He's got his pole barn in the back, right? Yeah, totally. Right. And so,
yeah, I live in a barndominium that I built. So about 600 feet back off the roads.
Right. And so that's going to be the headquarters of Patriot Deck Co. And if we want this free traffic, which we do from Google, it has to have the address because right now we're not getting it. And we could take a look at that. And actually, I'll show you the actual numbers here. And so this is I got to switch screens here. Hold on one second. This is the stats that we're getting from Patriot Deck.
Zach said this too before, and I chuckled. He said, I'm the guy that if I hear a noise in my house, I'm not freaking out, but I'm smiling. It's like,
hey, let's go.
He's ready.
You will get 20 feet in my driveway, and I'll know you're here.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So this is, we're looking at how you, and like the good news, Ian, is like there are some strong fundamentals. If we add that address and do a few other tweaks, we're going to be getting free traffic from Google. So this is for if someone's doing a search in any of these areas, these circles represent the areas. if they search for custom deck builder, right now we're showing up. You can see most of these, like these ones with the dashes, you're not showing up in the top 20. These other ones, like 13, that's actually pretty decent. 11, that's absolutely killer. They're like, we're able to jump in there. The number one person, our number one competition right now is
Oh, there's
Longhorn
longer.
Decks. And if we take a look at, I'll show you their results here in a second. But by adding that address, Google's going to open up the floodgates. And then we still have to do some tweaks. But then you are going to get free traffic from the Google business profile. This is the traffic that we earn. And I'll show you, take a look at, I'm going to stop sharing this. And then I'm going to jump over to Longhorn here.
Zach, this is probably going to have to be the last thing you're going to have to show me, buddy.
What's that?
I said, we'll probably have to jump on another call to continue this, my friend. Here pretty quick.
Yeah. I'm more than happy to. But here's Longhorn, and this will be the last thing I'll show you here. They're getting so much free traffic from the Google business profile. They got the address set up. They got a lot of things. But the good news is there's a lot of things that we can do to get Patriot Deck above those. And I think, what we should do is jump on another call, and we don't have to record it, but we'll go in and we'll actually tweak this for free for you. You need to talk to the wife and see if she's okay with having the address on there. If we're not, then we need to find a location for that.
Yeah. No, and they've been flagged for me, and I've gotten emails about it and everything else too. So yeah.
All right, brother. Well, thank you for your time. I'm excited to chat again, and let's chase that dream.
Yeah, man. It's crazy to think that it's going to be a reality one day. And probably look back on this and, the stepping stones of having this conversation right now. And then, we did it. So that I'm looking forward to that. That'll be a great day.
You're so close. You're like, that whole thing is like 3 feet from gold. You only have to make a few more moves. And one of them is this Google My Business profile that is going to put you in the top ranking. And you are actually going to get a few more leads that are going to turn into closings. And you're gonna be like, wow, this works. And then you're going to start figuring out those systems that you need so that you can pump out and hit your goals.
Well, and that's the thing about it. I didn't know any of this stuff. 2 years, I used to not read. Now I have a library. So, within 2 years, that's what I'm saying is you don't know what you can accomplish until you just go for it,
Right.
So that's what we're doing.
Awesome.